I wanted to make a video. I made a video a long time ago called something like DMT and demonic possession. And I was kind of explaining how that our fear is kind of demonic possession in a way, and that our fear sort of allows these insecurities and these scary things that we're afraid of to manifest. And I was taking the position that it's ultimately not real, and that everything is emanating from inside of us. So like we are our own demon, we are our own possession. You know, the things that we fear are inside of us, and not some external thing that can influence us. The way I perceived demonic entities and demonic possession, because I mean, when you smoke DMT or do ayahuasca or do mescaline or mushrooms, you can be confronted with all kinds of really scary visions and scary things that really do appear real. And the way I sort of imagined demons was kind of genetic memory. I looked at it as being kind of useful fears in order to kind of guide us through our current life, our current incarnation. And what I mean by that is, like, if you think back to our ancestors, they had to be afraid of things that were in the dark. Like, you know, what do we think of when we think of monsters under our bed or something like that? We think of like shining eyes and teeth, and, you know, like, these are real concerns that our ancestors had to deal with, like tigers or snakes being under the bed, or these are things that were useful memories to be passed on to further upcoming generations. So from an evolutionary perspective, it really does make sense why we have these fears. They're useful for us to navigate through this current reality. But I sort of am changing my position, and I do believe that everything is in our heads. And like when people say an ayahuasca, crazy ayahuasca experience is in your head. Yes, it's in your head. That takes away zero for me. That if anything, that broadens the mystery, because everything is in your head. Whether it's an ayahuasca experience, whether it's this current experience that we're having now, whether it's some mental psychosis or whatever it is that each of us are experiencing currently, it's all inside of our head. You know, physics says this. It's a mainstream scientific idea that everything is in our head. Everything is a production of our senses that is being kind of manifested through our limited kind of corridor of information that our body is capable of picking up on. Our bodies have these senses produce a reality. We do know that other animals have different senses, can see light that we can't see, can smell things that we can't smell, can hear things that we can't hear. Sharks can feel when something is next to it based off its electricity, like some kind of electrical pulse that bounces off its body and reflects back to it. So there are senses that exist that human beings don't have. So there is more to reality than what we are picking up on. I think this is what psychedelics do. Psychedelics allow you to slow down. It allows the noose of your thoughts to loosen up. And you're not so distracted by your thoughts, not so distracted by your senses. And through that, all of these things that your subconscious is usually filtering out that you're not aware of becomes more obvious. The horizon starts to expand. You can see colors differently. You can hear things and smell things and see things that you can't normally see. Sorry about this person out there mowing the grass. I've had these really interesting experiences on psychedelics. Ceremonially and non-ceremonially, I've had these beings or entities that seem to exist in that space that we aren't currently aware of. And a couple years ago, I would have taken the position, like I just said, that it's some kind of evolutionary trait and that these things aren't free existing. They don't have a sense of individuality outside of my own. But I do think that there are other entities that are existing in a space beyond what we can perceive. Demons, spirits. And I think that the psychedelic is a gateway to that world, or it can act as a gateway to that world. And there's other things also: fasting, drumming, dancing, art, There are very powerful techniques to get there. For me personally, the psychedelic has been the catapult. You know, it's not necessarily the easy way, but it's a very direct way. That it is hard work. It requires a lot of hard work to get to those spaces and to be able to not freak out in those spaces. But basically what I'm saying is that I kind of changed my position. Although it is still in your head, even though like you are essentially in my head, even my head is essentially inside my head. So let's just kind of remove that for now. Okay, we will say, yeah, everything is inside of our head. But we can also acknowledge that that takes nothing away from the mystery, and if anything, it only deepens it. So I think that there are beings that exist in these spaces that are absolutely real. As real as your sense of realness and my sense of realness, these beings feel a true sense of realness within their own experience. Yeah, I really do believe now that like these experiences that everyone reports back to, that I've personally had, you know, I mean, you can look on YouTube and find tons of normal people from all over the world that are having these sort of extraterrestrial experiences, you know, things that we didn't think were real fairy tales. The psychedelic is a living fairy tale. And yeah, these beings that exist in those spaces are existing in another planet. You know, like think of what planet means when you break down that word, plane. It's a plane of consciousness, a plane of existence. Our consciousness is sort of being anchored to this vibrational frequency that we call Earth. You know, we exist here because this is where our consciousness is currently vibrating at. But when we do different things, like focus on our breath or work with these divine plants, it can tune your biochemistry to perceive another radio station, basically. You know, you can look at our like our heads as being a radio, and we're currently on channel 1, and then you can tweak the biochemistry of your brain through plants or through multiple ways we just talked about to channel 2, to channel 3, to channel 4, and through that new experiences emerge. And the thing is, like, people, you can say you don't believe it, you can say whatever you want to say, but the thing is that it doesn't require belief. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what religion you are. The psychedelic has a way of delivering itself to anybody. It takes 10 minutes for you to smoke DMT and to figure this out for yourself. So, I mean, if you are someone that is interested in the mystery of life, then I feel like this seems to be a huge key for you to unlock some intense doorway that you're skeptical about, or interested about, or curious about. I don't know why as a culture we aren't completely baffled by this experience, and like, especially as a thrill-seeking culture. Like, we go scuba diving and swimming with sharks or going on roller coasters or jumping out of airplanes. None of that even remotely touches the psychedelic experience. But yeah, I just wanted to say that I changed my position, and I think that these beings are freestanding and existing currently right now outside of my own perception. In the same way you go to work, or how we're all kind of trapped in this corona situation, like we're all experiencing something on an individual level, and we are all one consciousness. We are all one brain. That's why they call it the collective consciousness, and that's why we feel the things that our ancestors carried with them. You know, like these genetic memories I was talking about. That's why this stuff gets passed down, is because we're all one. We're all one thing sort of expressing itself through the individual. Sort of the duality of non-duality. It's a paradox, but it seems to be a real one. But these demons, man, these demons, these spirits, these entities, aliens, plants, I don't know what exactly they are, and I mean, any name, I mean, you can call it whatever you want. It's ultimately just a name. But it seems to be another world existing simultaneously on top of ours. And we're just not aware of it because, again, we're so centered on our senses. We're so centered on our desire, so centered on our egoic placement, which is completely normal. It's not a bad thing. But this is what the mystics have discovered, what the yogis have discovered, what the rishis, roshis, magicians, shamans, this is what everyone, all these people have discovered, is that there's more. There's more to all of this. And you can get wisdom from these beings, and you can get powers from these beings. Like, I've been here trapped in Peru now I've been in Peru since January. It's now April. And I can't leave because of the coronavirus. They shut down all the borders and airports and stuff. So I've been trapped here, unable to leave for a few months. And I'm living at an ayahuasca center called Arcana. Some of you guys have heard me talk about that probably. So we've had some time to explore with different plants. Been working a lot with one called Wachuma. It's a cactus. Wachuma is the native name here in Quechua, but what the Spanish called it was San Pedro. So the San Pedro cactus is the same. I mean, there seems to be a spirit inhabiting the cactus, or it allows you to experience what it experiences. Maybe this is the intelligence of the plants, and that there's just it can see energy or spirits or something. I still don't totally understand it. I mean, the shamans believe that these plants are like, they call them like the master plants, the master teachers. And they believe that things live inside these plants, and that when you use them, you come in contact with it. When I was having some ayahuasca ceremonies a few weeks ago, I was seeing things that were so beyond myself that this is what really changed my position on this. Is that like this thing, like I think it was Terence McKenna, he was like, you know your own inventory. You know your own inventory. You know what you got. But this seems so alien. It seems like someone is coming into your store and stocking the shelves, or using you as a computer to download some kind of extraterrestrial information into you. And you know it's not you because it's so alien. And if it is you, then there are parts of ourselves that are so beyond what we can fathom that it takes the, like I think Terence McKenna also said that, like, the soul takes the form of an alien just not to alarm you, because if you saw what it really was, you would have a mental breakdown or something. So, yeah, I don't know. I just, the more I'm like getting into this shamanic world, the more I'm working with legitimate shamans and not just kind of taking it in my backyard or in my basement or something. Like, the more I'm able to like get to these deep, deep spaces of where there's things that occupy these spaces. In the same way, if I go outside, there's that guy cutting the grass, there's people over there talking, but like there's another plane or realm where the same thing is happening. There's things there, just like, whoo, and it's just like a feeling of expansion, and I'm like, okay, I'm here. And I close my eyes and I lay there, and you can leave your body. And the interesting thing about this DMT space is that like it's positioned. So in the same way, like I can look around this room, there's a door right there. I can look over here, there's another door to the bathroom, the bed or whatever, and it stays there, it doesn't move. The bed's still there, the door's still there. The DMT space acts similar to that. Like, I can look around and things remain stationary. They might be kind of, changing and morphing a little bit, but like it all basically is remaining there as if it's pre-positioned. And not everybody in the world has profound experiences, and the thing is that people from all over the world, now that we are globally connected with the internet and stuff, that people find out about this. They come here to the Amazon, they come here to Peru, and they have these experiences. Cultural imagery, or like culture is important in the way we view the world, language and culture is important in the way that we view the world. You know, if you grab someone from China, you grab someone from the Amazon, you grab someone from the modern America, from the States, and we're all going to see the world differently. But when you drink ayahuasca, when you smoke DMT, all of these linguistic, cultural hallucinations that everyone in your culture kind of agrees on goes out the window. Terence McKenna says, again, to keep quoting him, is that it dissolves boundaries. But it gives you the same visions. People are contacting the same spirits, seeing the same things. You would think that coming from different backgrounds, you would, you know, if you're a Christian, you would see Jesus. If you were a Hindu, you would see Shiva. If you were an Amazonian person, you'd see Pachamama, or it makes no sense. And I mean, I understand that the human brain has capacities and that we can only interpret things in certain ways, but this is very, very specific. Like seeing a condor, or seeing being eaten by a serpent. So like very specific type of experiences that keep reoccurring over and over and over again from people that drink these medicines. And yeah, I don't know, I just wanted to kind of talk about this because I've been thinking about it the past, month or so, and yeah, I don't know. I'm sure I will miss a point I wanted to make, but this is I feel like this stuff is real, and it's beautiful that it's kind of re-emerging. We're starting to see psychedelics become legal in certain places in the States. We're starting to see people come here to Peru and visit these shamans, and in a way it is becoming commercial in a way, but at the same time it's preserving this wisdom, which is a beautiful thing. So yeah, I don't know, I just wanted to change my position and say that I actually do think that these demonic entities are freestanding, and when I say demon, I don't mean like some evil thing that's going to come and haunt you for the rest of your life. I think a demon is I think demon comes from a Greek word. I forget the Greek word, but it basically just means like a deity or like a spirit or something. And that's kind of the way I'm using it. It's just kind of like a thing that exists somewhere else, and not necessarily evil. Although I have seen some crazy, like I've seen this humanoid looking thing, and it had boar teeth. And it was like covered in mud, and it was like there's probably like 5 of them, and they're all like stacked on each other staring at me under an ayahuasca. Yeah, I mean, I think that these beings exist, and you can evoke them, and you can get wisdom from them. Some people believe you can get powers from them. But yeah, I changed my position. I think the spirit world is real. And I think one direct way to access it is through this. Is through these means of using the plants. And I mean, think back to any sort of witchy stories that you have seen as a child or whenever, just throughout life. Witches are brewing potions and cauldrons full of mysterious plants and throwing toads in there, and we know that there are toads that have DMT in it and that give you crazy visions and stuff like that. So I mean, this stuff, they've been telling us that this stuff exists for a long time. Yeah, whether it's, I mean, if you're skeptical, it's a very easy thing to try yourself. And I recommend doing it ceremonially because that's the way that it evokes these things. Because, I mean, if you're just taking, mushrooms with your friends or something like that, you're going to be distracted, and all this stuff is going to pass right by because you're too focused on your distractions. So it's good to do these things at nights with the intention and see what happens. If you're curious, do it with a real shaman so you don't lose yourself in some, chaos. I'll make more videos about that too, about how to do these things properly. But yeah, for now I think that's all I want to say. Yeah, I hope you guys are safe out there during all this craziness, the corona craziness. Hope your families are healthy. And yeah, talk to you guys soon.